Right.
There's something called post-COVID exhaustion and weakness, which was not with my husband hasn't got it, but I suddenly got it, and it is it's quite unnerving. A lot of my content that you see on my social media is edited and directed by me, where she just literally she's like now one full, like she loves it. But it's taken me, we just celebrated 1 year of Messy Mama and Sassy Sasu.
So, welcome Samira to pinkpillar.com. It's indeed a pleasure having you on board over here. So,
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. So, firstly, tell me, how are you feeling? Like, how are you now?
So today is the brightest I think I've looked, because it's the last week everybody was telling me that I was looking exhausted.
Right.
There's something called post-COVID exhaustion and weakness, which was not with my husband hasn't got it, but I suddenly got it, and it is quite unnerving because through different parts of the day I just suddenly can't do anything. I have to just sit down and breathe.
Right.
But it is part of what happens, and I would say I'm blessed that at least I got through it, and my children got through it.
Right.
Which for me is the most important thing. And I again say this, that I was not prepared with the children. I was so focused on my mother-in-law, I was so focused on my parents, I was so focused, chalo, our age group. I never for a minute thought that my son and my daughter could get it. I mean, they're so tiny.
Right.
But it happened, but chalo, at least it all worked out. So thank God.
But Samira, making this conscious decision, especially like I think you've made quite a few very big switches. Like you were at the top of your career when you chose to get married, and in a few years have kids and all, and then you kind of focused on being like a hands-on mother, and something that not a lot of actresses are comfortable doing even today, right? So like this was quite, I think, 7-8 years ago when you chose to kind of have it the house way, home way. So tell me what these big switches. So what kind of confidence? How do you gather that confidence? To kind of make those big switches in life. And also one more question adding to this: that why Goa? Like you have so many other cities around as well. So why? What made you states as well? So what made you choose Goa?
One thing is that I believe that somewhere I had to crack, and I really had no confidence after I left the business.
Right.
Because my confidence was very connected to how much money I was making, how successful I was, and how people perceived me. So if they thought that Samira is saleable or worth something, or whether I was being called for work, that was equal to how I felt, which was crazy. I mean, I till today can't understand why I did that to myself. So what happened is, when I left the business, I took a break. And then I put on a lot of weight, and then I kind of, I had a baby, and I thought I'll get back to work. There were all these big plans in my head, but the plans didn't work out, and I took it quite badly. But what happens is, sometimes I believe that you have to crack and put yourself back together, so you actually realize what you want. And having a breakdown is not a bad thing.
Right.
Sometimes having a breakdown is the best thing that can happen to you, and I believe that that's what, I mean, I take it in that positive way.
Right.
So definitely the confidence today of where I am, and actually having the capacity to make these decisions, has only come because I've decided what I don't want, not what I want. So that's where today I can make a conscious shift and say, actually, and this is not judging any working mother out there. I only have great respect for them. I would say that I knew for a fact that I just couldn't get back to that life. I needed to first just do this and do this the way I can do it. But that was not necessarily what I thought I would do. In fact, I thought I'd be that Bollywood mother ki ek mahine pura body okay, and I'd be like all sexy again, I'd be back.
Right.
But it didn't happen. And I actually listened to myself instead of fighting it, and instead of just getting really upset with it.
Do you have plans of, kind of breaking the sabbatical that you've taken and move back to doing, movies, or you have a lot of reality shows also where actresses are judging and all of that. So do you have any plans as such, or is it that if you get some offer on board, so you would probably think of making the switch back, or how is it?
So I'll tell you something very interesting, which I think just fell in my lap.
Okay.
Over the last maybe 1 year, maybe because of being locked down, and a lot of my content that you see on my social media is edited and directed by me. So what actually ends up happening is a lot of my funny videos with my daughter, or like my dance videos with my mother-in-law, everything is sort of here in my brain. What I've actually begun to really enjoy is creating funny moments, which I feel people really need at a time like this right now.
Right.
So I would say I'm not necessarily close to getting back, especially into Netflix series and stuff. But I would love to get into a part where I actually can creatively use what my last maybe year or two of being on social media has opened my mind to, which is creating really fun content which means something. It has to have a meaning, whether it's my Imperfectly Perfect campaign where I talk about body positivity, I talk about the stresses that women go through. I talk about how we have to maybe just take it in a lighter spirit than sit and flog ourselves for our so-called failures.
Right.
There is a conversation and more of a meaning to what I want to do and give through cinema or through a narrative or through storytelling, which I feel that social media and people out there have given me a chance to do. I'd love to take that forward into something else, and of course be a part of Netflix and all these amazing web series out there. Movies, I don't know, because that would be a lot of commitment and my children are just too small right now.
Samira, how would you see yourself as a person who was depressed a few years ago, and the Samira who is now so confident as we perceive on social media, right? So how do you feel? I mean, that individual, when you sleep at night, what do you feel? My time pe itna depressed thi, and now look at me. So how has that journey been? I'm sure it's been difficult.
Yeah.
And emotionally, I'm sure.
The reason I have this crazy amount of energy to make content and to just be there and speak my mind and be confident is because, my God, I had hit the lowest of lows. I cannot even begin to explain to you. If there's any woman out there listening who's feeling low, man, trust me, I was right there with you. I just questioned myself that a girl who has done such successful films, who has made so much money, who has created such a name, felt so small and so crap and felt like a nobody. I till today don't know how I just spent so much time just feeling so dejected. And that only comes from the fact that you're not dealing with really what's internally going on with yourself.
Right.
To get to this point, it's come because I have absolutely worked on it. I have taken every fear of mine, whether it's a fear of somebody saying she's fat or she's not successful or she's not an actress anymore. Funny things people throw at you, like somebody said, oh my God, you're such a beautiful actress, and one troll said, but she's not an actress anymore. It makes you question, all those amazing films that I did, just because I am taking a break now, does it mean I'm not an actress? But that's what I'm trying to say, is that there are so many people who are judging you and you're hitting you with those comments. But if you yourself know where you stand today, what you're capable of, what your worth is, and exactly what makes you happy, what you don't want, is when your confidence just comes through. And I work on it every day. Trust me, there are so many times in a day that I still go through emotions of trying to work on myself. Confidence is working on yourself.
Right.
You will always have things in your mind questioning you. Really? Do you really think that? Oh, look at her. Oh, she got a promotion. Oh, that mother's looking so hot. I got a wrinkle today. Oh my God, I'm aging. I'm so fat. These are things that are constantly going to come, and you have to just work on it every day to stay afloat and know that you're not perfect. You're not going to be overconfident and say, I'm fantastic, everything's great. You're going to have to neutrally flow through it and let it, just deal with it every day.
And your videos on social media with your mother-in-law are probably the most important thing that people need now. The kind of conversation that you have and the camaraderie that you share is very, very positive. And also with the kind of videos that you make with Naira and Hans, they're very, very out of the box, right? So how do you suddenly think of all these ideas, and with the kind of videos that you make with your mother-in-law, does she also ideate in it, and how is it entirely?
Yeah, she does. In fact, like, for someone who was so shy and wouldn't even let me take a picture of her, I have to say I have discovered this Meena Kumari in her, where she just literally, she's like now one full, like she loves it, you know. But it's taken me, we just celebrated 1 year of Messy Mama and Sassy Sasu, which came about in the lockdown. I think in the lockdown, we've never spent so much time like we did. Now, I have to admit, at some level, we could have driven each other crazy, which I'm sure we did at some level, because we were all stuck together, right, in the beginning of the lockdown. And a month into the lockdown, I think we both just realized that we can have a little bit of fun, because we both know that this is a very crazy situation.
Right.
And that's how it happened. Our videos, even with the children, happened because of the lockdown.
And how difficult is parenting in today's times, especially because I remember, if you're like an 80s kid or a 90s kid, growing up, when we were growing up, we didn't have so much of exposure to a lot of things, right?
And I don't think our parents were conscious parents.
Absolutely.
Please, my mother has fed me every meal in front of the TV. We've done what we wanted. Today, it's like, oh my God, how much sugar is there in it? Is it refined? Is it jaggery? I mean, it is. My mom and my dad, I'm sure, have, like in your parents, they've done what they wanted. Our generation, like extra only key, like we are so conscious of everything. It's like over conscious. I think what's difficult today as parenting is, I would say, because of the current situation, and which it will continue for a bit, every parent out there is struggling with trying to work and trying to just balance out having the kids and your husband at home all the time.
Right.
It is very different, even for your own relationship with your partner. We all are all thrown together, and we're trying to do this studying online. So basically, you're the teacher, you're everything. And where do you get time for yourself or even time with your husband? It is very, very crazy, the situation today. But parenting overall is very different. It's a lot of hard work, it's a lot of pressure, it's a lot of judgment from outside, and a lot of expectation.
Absolutely. And as you said that, spoken a lot about how Akshay has been your pillar of strength throughout. When you're dating, that phase is different between in a couple. When you are married, that's a different stage. And also when you turn parents, when the dating couple evolves into parents, right? The relationship of a couple goes through a lot of stages, and which is why there are a lot of ups and downs as well. So tell me, how has Akshay been with you, and how has your relationship evolved through the years?
So I would say that, again, most, I guess, people on social media and stuff, nobody really talks about what really goes on, because they feel that talking about a relationship and issues can be meaning that, it's too much information out there. But I do believe that, in fact, that more of us say that marriage is far from perfect. And there are different phases, because as a person, imagine, and I always, me and Akshay discuss this, you've evolved anyway so much since your teens or since you were a child. You're constantly evolving as a person. So the person that you married or fallen in love with necessarily doesn't have to stay in that box so that you feel safe and you feel, this is the person I married.
Right.
So one thing that me and Akshay believe in is that we actually have a couple of months, we have sit downs and we talk about what's changed. So it's one day if I've said this is not what I want to do, but I want to change it, I can't be scared of changing it thinking I'm going to upset you. So evolving is a very, very big thing, and evolving of each partner and then meeting somewhere halfway is important. So we have a lot of communication, we have a lot of discussions. If I feel somewhere I'm, getting a little lost, I will talk about it. If he feels, if I feel that he's getting a little lost, he'll talk about it. But this communication needs to happen. Again, I don't want to do that, and it's okay. You're not going to have a perfect marriage. But Akshay and me, the one thing we do have is we are very, very clear with our communication.
Yeah, so I think on this note, we end our interview here. Thank you so much, Sameera.
Thank you so much. We were supposed to do this interview right before I got COVID, just imagine. And 1 month later now, I'm still recovering, but I'm just, I'm just happy to speak to you, Rasika.
Yeah, even I'm so happy to talk to you, because I really felt that it was a very heart-to-heart conversation without any hesitations, right? So I really like people when
I never hesitate. Yeah. I have nothing to hide.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much, and wishing all your viewers a lot of love and happiness.
Yes, thank you from their end, and also you take care.